I have a question. Your manifesto, what was the foundation of it? Like for you, philosophy wise, like how did you start building out the manifesto? Obviously from military background, you talked about the coaches in the past, but you yourself putting this thing together, like what foundation was it built off of?
The best way to explain that is it's organized how I would organize a football program, which is very military-like, in like a chain of command, like a staff org chart, or usually in groups of 3, where like you have the head coach and headquarters, and then under them you have the football staff, the operations staff, and so on. Within the football staff, that would be like anything related to football itself. So I break that into 3 different categories: personnel, so scouting, recruiting; the actual X's and O's, so offense, defense, special teams; and then player performance, which is strength and conditioning, trainers and stuff like that, nutrition. And then each of those has a broken down subcategory. So if you gave me a thought on like, hey, I saw this really good thing that such and such a school was doing with their nutrition program, I would just go boom, 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 boom. There's the nutrition section, and I got all my organized notes, and I'd put it in there. And if you were to ask me, how would you run how would the logistics work for your operations department? Give me 5 seconds, I'll show you. Boom, boom, boom. And then there's all my notes on that. And that's kind of, it's a really good book, Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's about how, in order to actually apply something that you learn or see, or whether it be a quote or, something from a book, something from a movie, something from a conversation, you have to first be able to capture it. So write it down. Mm-hmm. Then you have to take that captured thought and be able to organize it. That's like my organized notes, the Michigan Manifesto. Mm-hmm. And then you have to be able to reference it though. So that's the beauty of, if you're super organized, then I can always go back to that. Like, for example, if I read a book on leadership, for example, there might be a quote about something that's not necessarily specifically, leadership. It might be about, there could be a some football quote or something. And you got to be able to, every time I read a book, I read the book, take all my notes, and then I go through the book again, and everything I highlighted or underlined or wrote, I put that where it belongs in the manifesto. So then I can reference it without having to remember what book was that from. It was a quote about football, but it was in a leadership book. Mm-hmm. Like, no, I just go to the football section and there's the quote.
I couldn't dream to be this organized. I could not.
And the beauty of it too is I can talk about that. I probably never give away the Michigan Manifesto, but I can talk about it and no one will be able to duplicate it because I'm already 15 years ahead.
Right. How
like, good luck.
Gotta juice you up, man.
How did it develop over the years?
It went
Is it
from
just
the binder
adding from the organization?
Yeah. And it's a Google Doc now, and you say like, how many pages is it? I can't give you an exact number because I found this out the hard way. A Google Doc can't go over 1,000 pages. So it's multiple Google Docs.
Nice.
No shit, dude.
Yeah.
God, how often do you go back and read it and be like, okay, this is different now, this is different now? Like nutrition, for instance. If you take something 5 years ago that someone said about nutrition, that's ever evolving.
Yeah, it's just, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. Yeah. And I try to visit it at least weekly, try to daily. But, like if, I've been traveling the last few days, I haven't been on it. But what I do, like, so at the Michigan-Washington game, during the game, I have my notes up, not the actual Google Docs, but just my notes app. And I'm just taking notes on everything I see. Like, I was at the Seahawks game this Sunday too. So anytime I'm at a game or watching a game and I see a play I like, or, a situation like, this is bad flashbacks, but 2011, 4th and inches in East Lansing, and we run a play fake, And, you know, I just remembered that yesterday watching I think the Seahawks-Giants game, thinking like, you know, 4th and inches, if I'm ever a coordinator, I don't want to call a play where the quarterback's back is to the defense on 4th and inches, unless he's given the ball. But it's just so risky. But like, so anyway, you know, that just triggered that thought from 2011. So I write that down in my notes. And then tonight when I get back, I will put that exactly where it belongs in the manifesto. So then whenever I'm a coordinator, I already have that in the 4th and short section to always reference and remind myself.
Yeah, your memory is shaky.
Yeah.
Are you sure that wasn't you at Central Michigan?
The manifesto, did you give it the name Manifesto, or was that by the media?
So that was it was just like my notes, and I think it was during COVID when people didn't know if football was going to be happening or not, and a couple buddies of mine and I had these Zooms just talking ball, staying fresh in football. And I remember kind of introducing it to one of them, and he's like, this is like a manifesto. And so we just kind of jokingly called it the Michigan Manifesto. And then obviously the media ran with it, Dave ran with it, and I guess I now have to call it the Michigan Manifesto.
It is infamous.
It is.
For sure.
Awesome,
you've got to, whenever you've decided, okay, I'm done doing the manifesto, you need to print that out hard copy and then just frame it somewhere. Just a book.
But there's never an end to the Michigan Manifesto.
It never
How could there be an end?
That was a dumb statement. It never
You win
ends.
a national championship. There's already a section in there. You know, this is like a Sabanism, right? Like where
you could start doing it like encyclopedias. You can have like a volume 1.
Yeah.
I already have 9 volumes.
Do you?
He said I already have 9 volumes.
Yes.
Are you just doing AI up here, Sherm? He's just been popping up different AI pictures that he's decided to make.
I mean, you saw the recruiting, the scouting map in the documentary.
Yeah. Did you see that?
I did not.
So it's a map of the United States, and it's where every single draft pick, right?
Every draft pick. So basically what I did was, again, I can say this because, well, now you could probably hire some AI or you can do whatever now and probably catch you up on this, but it's just the concept. This is just one of, hundreds of concepts in the manifesto where, people always talk about states. Like, what's the best state for recruiting?
Yeah.
Is it Georgia? Is it Florida? Is it Texas? Is it California? And I just kind of realized, why are we talking about states? It's literally something that Lewis and Clark drew back in the 1800s. Why would you recruit based on some state boundaries that were drawn a couple hundred years ago? So what I did was I plotted every single draft pick. I took the Google map layer off where you couldn't even tell where you were. And I just plotted everyone. And then I just drew my own little regions around where the mass people were and just kind of went from there. Because when people say Florida is great, well, it's mostly Fort Lauderdale, Miami, right? When people say California, it's mostly LA and the Bay Area. Texas, mainly Dallas, Houston. Yes, there are certain states like Georgia and Texas where it is more spread out, but I just kind of figured, why? And it's by position too. Now, I'm not going to give away which positions and which sub-regions are worth recruiting more than others. But yeah, there's definitely certain regions are hotbeds for certain positions.
So what's the best state for recruiting? What's the best region?
Region, Miami.
Miami's the best region. How's Arizona? How does Arizona hold up?
I mean, if you weren't there, then it wouldn't be as great.
That is exactly how I wanted you to answer that. I didn't know that's how I wanted you to answer, but that's what I needed to hear.
But, I think Georgia is probably the best state where if you just close your eyes and put your finger anywhere on the state of Georgia, you're close to a player that's been drafted.